take this anymore. It's just so nerve-wracking.
You're doing it to yourself. We sports fans do it to ourselves, don't we?
And I told Tim this morning, I said, I'm never watching hockey again.
Right.
I said, I can't take it. And he said, yeah, you will.
You'll be back.
You'll be back.
But it is a weird season. The teams that were not supposed to win have won.
Yeah, right. It is weird.
Well, that's what my people are interested in sports. You just never know. It's human drama, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is it ever?
You just never know. All right.
Well, thank you for your compassion.
Well, I just want to say I have empathy for you, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, Frederick.
Yes, sir.
What's happening in the world of non-sports?
Well, I tell you, it's a very sad story out of Cleveland, Texas. Cleveland, Texas is northeast of Houston. A horrible incident on the weekend.
1週間の初めだから頑張って。
38 years old, who has been in and out of the country illegally several times, and the hunt is on for him because...
You mean he's been deported several times?
He's been deported several times, but keeps coming back. And that shocks us because the Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas says our border is secure. And
that's a bald-faced lie.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But the shooting incident left 5 people dead. This all started, according to authorities, is that some neighbors of this man, Francisco Oropesa, he's 38 years old, he was out shooting a high-powered weapon, I guess target practicing somewhere. The neighbors said, we're trying to get our little child to sleep. They complained. He comes to their house, he shoots and kills at least 5. That's it. He disappears. As I say, they're still looking for him. These were people, the victims, all from Honduras originally. The story says they're not related, but they were living in this one house. This morning, Brandon Judd, he is president of the National Border Patrol Council. He says these murders were totally preventable. Cut 1.
Criminals are empowered right now. Law enforcement, we just can't do what's necessary to protect the American people. And any time that this administration sends out the clear message that just the act of being in the country illegally is not enough to be deported from the United States, that it empowers them even more. It emboldens them. It allows them to think that they are above the law. And that's what we saw in this particular case. This is a case that never should have happened. We shouldn't have had this person in the United States in the first place. If we would have done our jobs, if we would have done a better job, this person would not be here and these deaths would not have occurred.
Now on the weekend, NBC's Chuck Todd interviewed Homeland Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, and he was pressed, Mayorkas was, by Chuck Todd. Listen, Mayorkas, you're very unpopular with your own people who work for you. Now, Mayorkas defended that, but once again, Brandon Judd comes back and says it is the case. Mayorkas is extremely unpopular. Cut number 2.
I want to ask you about Border Patrol because the union doesn't like you. How can you lead a group of people whose union wants you out of office?
Chuck, I'm incredibly proud to work with the United States Border Patrol. I have supported them vigorously since my first day in office. I will continue to do so.
Well, that's just not the case. The Brandon Judd came back and said, oh yeah, what about the accusations of us whipping people from our horses?
Right.
And they accused, and Biden did also, Mayorkas and Biden said it was true. And then, of course, they have the investigation, and it wasn't true.
You're talking about the photographs. There were photographs of Border Patrol agents on horseback.
Yes.
And there were people coming across the river illegally.
Mm-hmm.
And the Biden administration, including Secretary of Homeland Security Mayorkas, who said, look at these Border Patrol agents. They have the horse reins, and they're whipping the immigrants coming across the river. Totally not true. They were using the reins. If you watch the video, they were simply using the reins to guide their horses.
Yes.
And that lie against them, the Biden administration has never apologized for that, and neither has Mayorkas. Listen, we talk about, and I don't want to get into the gun issue here personally, but the question about these kinds of shootings answer primarily from AFA and AFR is evil people use guns to harm other people. And this is a perfect example of someone who was in the country illegally. My guess is he had guns illegally. I don't think you can purchase guns unless you are a citizen. But who would walk into a home and execute? Because authorities said these people were killed execution style. This man's heart was filled by the devil. I'm sorry if people mock that, but that's what the Bible says. The devil will fill people's hearts. This was a man filled with wickedness, and that is why he killed these people, this Francisco Oropesa, including children. This guy is sick. I hope they find him.
It was a family. It was a family, because I saw the gentleman, the father. He's a lone survivor. So this guy walks into his home and kills five members of his family.
Out of 10, there were 10 in there.
His whole family's that were in that house were dead. This guy here has been deported, I read, 5 times.
That's what I read.
Let me ask you this. Not that we're going to solve this issue right now, but it seems to me like the only way to put teeth into the deportation, because we read about this, the deportation just sounds like it doesn't matter at all. I mean, they come right back over the border. So unless you have a deterrent, like you say, if you're deported, we'll deport you once, but if you re-enter our country, we'll put you in prison for 25 years. Then that would stop that, right? It would stop it. You say you're going to hard labor prison for 25 years if we catch you coming back into our country after you've been deported. That's the only way to stop this, because right now you got a revolving door and deportation.
Nothing happens.
That's what I'm saying. There's no consequences for deportation. In fact, it's just expenses on the part of the United States government to deport them when there are no consequences for you if you walk right back into our country.
Now, it would certainly cost to put them in a U.S. prison for 25 years. We'd have to build some new prisons, but I like the idea of hard labor. Put them to work.
My argument is, yes, you're correct. The expense would be on the United States citizen taxpayer. However, my point is it would stop it. So you wouldn't have a lot of expenses, because you get deported. You're told if you're rearrested here in the U.S. after you've been deported, once you go to 25 years, no parole, no nothing, they're not going to come back. At least they're taking a risk on something like that, and I think that would deter it. There's just little or no deterrent right now for people coming into our country illegally.
I like the idea of what you're saying, but obviously you'd have to have an administration who didn't want an open border.
Yeah,
because the Biden administration just...
Well, and you've got to have a party, quite frankly. I'm not a Democrat, but half the country are Democrats, I should say. Generally support the Democrat Party, I should say. Right. Half the country does. Unless you have people within the Democrat Party, like Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago now, and Mayor Adams from New York, speak up. They're both far lefties.
Right.
Okay. But they've got a massive problem in their cities, Chicago, New York, of these illegal immigrants crossing the border and then going to their cities, and now they're having to incur the expenses of taking care of these people. And but unless you have people inside the Democrat Party say, you know what, we've had enough also of this massive illegal immigration. It's hurting us. Then it's going to be hard to do much about it, because Biden, we mentioned this 1,000 times, the Democrats at the highest level, Biden and Harris and Mayorkas and all these people, they want people to come here by the millions illegally, and they want to flood the country. And again, unless the people of their own party say, no, we're not with you on that, then it's going to be hard to stop.
But it's incidents like this also.
Unless you have a change of administration.
Yes.
And that will, where you have somebody who's against illegal immigration, and we'll do something to stop it. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because of incidents like this, and it's been repeated many times, that's why there's such outrage when Mayorkas goes before a House or Senate committee under oath, and he declares that the border is secure.
Well, he's either an idiot or he's a professional gaslighter.
Mhm. He's lying.
It's one of the, but he does it with a straight face.
Yes.
But anyway, so is this guy, the killer, is he a fugitive?
Yes, he is. He's on the loose. A report this morning said, from the sheriff at least, we have no idea where he is at this moment.
So he's armed and dangerous, and he's on the loose, and this took place, the town is near Houston, you say?
It's Cleveland, Texas. It's to the northeast of Houston.
All right, next story.
All right. Will he or won't he show up in court today? Who am I talking about? Hunter Biden. There is a case that's been going on for a number of years now. Hunter Biden had a child by a woman who is described as a stripper. First, he denied that he was the father, but there was a DNA test done in 2019, and it confirmed that he was the father. The court has ordered Hunter Biden to appear today in Arkansas court, because there is an issue with regards to paying child support from Hunter Biden. Now, before we knew of this story, there was the incident last week. There was Bring Your Child to Work Day at the White House. And President Biden was asked about grandchildren. And he said, I have 6 grandchildren. No, he doesn't. He has 7. And the outrage that's being expressed by a lot of people is, how is it that you would dare, as the President of the United States, and for years this has gone on. The little girl, I think, is 4 years old now. This has gone on. They just deny that this little girl exists, even though it's been proven that it's Hunter Biden's child. Jonathan Turley was on with Brian Kilmeade on Fox this morning. Was asked about this whole incident, because obviously this is a legal incident, not to mention a personal incident and a political incident. Cut number 3.
Who is the stronger case?
Oh, clearly the mother, and that also includes the effort to allow this child to use her family name of Biden. The Biden family has refused to acknowledge this 4-year-old girl. Even the dog in the Biden family got a stocking on their fireplace this Christmas, but not this little girl.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
Well, why would you do this? If you're Joe Biden, president, and you're Hunter Biden, just say, yes, that's our child. That's my child, and that's our grandchild, and we will offer child support financially, and it was
Welcome this little girl into our family.
What's the deal? Why do they want to act like the girl doesn't? I don't get it.
I think it's well, first of all, maybe legally their lawyers told them don't say yes until it can be proven, blah 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 blah. But second of all, I think it's politically damaging for the Bidens to focus the attention of the media on Hunter Biden because of all the other stuff that's in that pot. I'm just guessing. I don't know why you wouldn't, especially since Joe Biden is such a good Catholic. He's just a good Christian.
I'm just saying, everybody knows about Hunter Biden's debauched life.
Right.
And maybe he's trying to get himself together now. I don't know, but I'm just saying his history is one of drugs and promiscuity and
promiscuity and drugs.
And taking money from around the world because his dad's VP. I mean, that's I don't know that saying I got a child by a lady in Arkansas. I don't know why they think, well, that's going to make people have a different opinion of us. You know what I'm saying? So what you're saying is he's ordered to appear in court in Arkansas today, right?
That's right.
Matter.
There was a hearing a week ago today, and the judge said, today, this Monday, May 1st, I want all the principals in my courtroom. Enough is enough.
All right, gotcha.
So we'll wait and see what happens.
Listen, if you have a child, like can be proven by DNA, I mean, and you have to pay child support.
Right.
Yeah.
So
But
go ahead.
here's the other factor in this. The media, for the most part, is silent on this. If this was a Donald Trump son,
Yeah.
and the media would be all over this. But for the most part, if you Google this, there are a few news outlets that are covering it, but it's for the most part silent. And the Bidens just think, well, if we just keep our mouths shut, maybe this will go away.
I think this whole thing is sordid and not comical, but it is comical if the thinking inside the Biden camp is we don't want Hunter to hurt our family's reputation. Hey, that's okay. All right. You go.
There really may be some legal advice that was
Right.
given to them by lawyers saying don't admit anything, but they're going to have to admit it today.
Yeah.
Because my understanding is the child is Hunter Biden's.
Right. The DNA
the
test.
DNA test.
Yeah.
So today they're going to have to admit it. Now, it is going to be even more interesting once this is demonstrated in court. This is Hunter Biden's daughter. What the Biden family does now. Once they say, oh, okay, well, it is our granddaughter. If they continue to ignore her, that makes them look even worse than what they're doing now.
Our own Bishop Jackson on his program when this story broke last week, he had some pretty strong words for Hunter Biden and the Biden family. Cut number 4.
When you are people with all the resources and all the influence and all the power that they have available, and you shun an innocent child who is in fact your daughter and granddaughter respectively, as far as I am concerned, you are worthless. You are worthless. You are disgusting lowlifes. And I mean just what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, the Bible does say he who will not take care of his own, provide for his own, is worse than an unbeliever. That's what St. Paul
Bishop Jackson, he likes to sound like hidden messages.
He's never really clear, is he?
No, he's ambiguous. We're gonna have to get him on this show to find out.
I found that very vague.
Yeah.
What he was saying. I'm having a hard time
Yeah.
figuring out what he
I don't
meant.
know. Tried to walk the fence there. Anyway, this is a court case in Arkansas.
We'll wait and
They,
see.
they were supposed to start, so they're in court now, right?
Yeah.
They're supposed to start at like 9.
Yeah, by the time our program is over, we'll try to get you an update, see what happened there.
You're listening to the radio program Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tim with Ed and Fred. Next story, Fred.
Well, also as a guest on Chuck Todd on NBC on the weekend was Vivek Ramaswamy. He is one of the people who wants to be president of the United States. I want you to listen to this, folks. In the midst of the interview with Ramaswamy, Chuck Todd says,
So
"Can
like,
you
入り口ジムの入り口で待ち合わせね
more。than 2 genders?"
あそこにいてくれってやら。
Below the age of 18, I think it's perfectly legitimate to say that we won't allow genital mutilation or chemical castrations or puberty blockers.
Calling it that, but how do you know it's that? Again, how do you know? Are you confident that you know that gender is as binary as you're describing it? Are you confident that it isn't a spectrum? Do you know this as a scientist?
No, there's 2 X chromosomes. If you're a woman, an X and a Y, that means you're a man.
There's
So
a
there's
lot
a
of
biological
research
basis
out
for this.
there. There's a lot of scientific research out there that says gender is a spectrum.
That's baloney.
There's not a lot of science.
Not a lot.
No.
Now, here's the thing that they are playing on. I'm talking about the transgender movement and the sympathizers with that movement. Here's what they play on, and they confuse, they conflate, they mix up 2 ideas. For all of human history, sex and gender were considered the same.
Yes.
All right. So when I took Latin, I had to take Latin in junior high and my first 2 years of high school. In many other languages stemming from Latin, Romance languages, use gender when you conjugate verbs and so on and so forth. There is gender, and so there's masculine and feminine. So up until about 50 years ago or so, everyone, in fact, the dictionary for forever said sex and gender were the same. Here's what John Money, who was one of the first to, and I think he was at Johns Hopkins, not a scientist, but this was in the realm of kind of the philosophy of sex and gender. The transgender movement and ideologues said there's sex, and then we're separating gender, and by gender we mean masculine and feminine. So not all boys can throw a football. Some of them are artistic. So we have to be careful about what we say is masculine behavior and feminine behavior. And now it has gotten to the point where they just simply throw it all into one pot. And that's where the confusion is. You'll have people like, who is this, Chuck Todd?
Chuck Todd.
He's trying to say there's masculine and feminine. Those are gender constructs by society. Society says that's masculine behavior, that's feminine behavior, but they are denying the biological origins